But folks, let's get started properly. Let's get started with our November update. So just a reminder, if you're here for the first time, we sort of have just the headline of what the change is, some of the key points, the current release date, but as you know, there's often slip, and we have some supporting screenshots. It's aimed at end users, super users, champions, team site owners, and anyone responsible for M365 adoption and keeping their colleagues up with Evergreen changes. We don't have time for a deep dive. We have maybe 2 minutes per topic, so we do go quite quickly, but remember that you can always look out for the recording on our YouTube channel and watch it back a little bit slower if you prefer. So this month we've got updates for Copilot, Outlook, SharePoint, Teams, and updates from around 365. You won't be surprised to hear that there's bits of AI and Copilot basically everywhere now. Microsoft are sprinkling it everywhere, aren't they? Okay, before we get started, anybody got any questions or comments before we do so? So we've got Anna over on page 2. We've got Christine, got Jody, David, Gary Murphy, Rebecca Green. Welcome, folks. Okay, so whose colleagues are just getting used to Copilot and the interface? Well, guess what? I've got some news for you. Okay, so this is technically, I should have been showing this next month, but this change is going to happen before our next session, or it's likely to. So I've sort of squeezed it in, and the slide isn't perfect, but I just wanted to I quickly did it before today's session. So Microsoft are refreshing the M365 Copilot interface, and I'm going to quote what they say. Okay, that my tone of voice might tell you something. Microsoft 365 Copilot app now features a simpler, cleaner navigation experience. Let's see what else they say. They flattened the menu and grouped features logically, so it's easier for users to find what matters most. So on the left, that's what you've got now, and on the right is apparently the much easier, cleaner version that you're going to use. So I think that's one to be aware of, folks. I think if you look after your colleagues, look out for that. You'll find that in the admin center. I'm sure you'll find it elsewhere as well. But I think that's worth just letting people know about the changes. And a couple of things in there. You can see on the left-hand side, we've got some things that you're familiar with. I noticed in the new experience, I've got library. Okay, so you might be aware that that pages have moved to library as well. So it looks like that happening is changing at the same time. So folks, due December to January, but if you have early access, that is coming straight away. Folks, remember that in the chat, if you like something, you can post comments on there. You can put a question in there. Be interested to see what you think about these updates. You can always give something a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you like it as we go. But folks, I think that's quite a big change that's worth highlighting to your colleagues, maybe for some people who don't take to change easily, and there's lots of people like that, aren't there? Maybe a from and to, especially as it is introducing new sections like library. Okay, sharing and collaboration come to Copilot notebooks. So notebooks are great. So do you imagine that maybe Maria, you're doing some work and you've got some references like some websites and some documents that you refer to, and actually you have to keep going back to it and working on it. You can just set up a notebook, tell the notebook where to look, and you can work inside there. But what if you want Amy to work with you on that? Well, you're getting that ability, and you'll recognize that there. You'll recognize that interface from across Microsoft 365. So you're getting the ability to share that notebook. Microsoft say it maintains all data and security and permissions. That's due late October to December, so quite a big gap. But one of the things I'd say about a change like this, if you're looking at this and you're like, Mark, I don't even know what notebooks are, a change like this where a feature becomes extra useful is a good time for you to go and revisit it. And if your colleagues don't know what notebooks are, it might be worth maybe just a 10-minute session and just explain it to them whilst you're talking about this new feature as well. Okie dokie. So you might recognize this screenshot from the top right hand corner in M365 Copilot, where you have the option to try GPT-5. Well, GPT-5 is going to become the default model. So let's just click that, and now it is on. So the toggle will default to on, and if you want to, you can toggle it off. Now, based just like GPT-5 does, based on the um, on the details of your prompt, it will decide whether to give you a quick answer or a more detailed answer. But if you decide actually you know better and actually you definitely just want a quick answer, you'll have this little button here that you can click and you can stop it from taking its long route and get it to give you a quick answer. Microsoft currently have that down for early to late November. I haven't seen it in any of my environments yet, but that is definitely coming your way. Okay, so Copilot pages. So it might be that you've done a prompt and you've got a good result, and actually you look at it and you want to do some work on it, you want to keep it, excuse me, maybe share it with a colleague. So you've turned some content from Copilot into a page. That's cool. Now you can see, whoops, let's just go back one. Top left-hand corner here, you can see that I could open chat. If I do click that, then the chat will open. It always feels a bit odd to me when it's on the left-hand side. But what's changing is that chat experience means that Copilot can reason or look at the page that you've created. And again, so I've heard talk a few times people saying, I'm not really sure about what Copilot pages are and how they relate to the notebooks. I think these two updates are a great opportunity for you to revisit this with your colleagues. It's always good to bring something new, because the people who do know about it, they're learning something as well. So I really like using the new feature to introduce something. Okay, just very quickly, is anybody using the generate video functionality inside Create? It'd be great to hear if everyone could just pop off mute and just tell me what you're using that for. I've got a story for you, but it'd be great to hear from you. Anyone want to just come off mute and tell us what you're doing with that?
We've just started using. I'm in education. We're in further education, so we're using it for like really quick overviews of key topics, just like very, very basic. This is what we've covered today. So if they've missed a lesson or something like that.
That's great. I like that, Jackie. Anybody else? How about you, Ionica?
Same thing, using it for training. It really makes it, or when we are presenting a new concept or something like that, we'll sum it up with a great video. It's really, really good. Our challenge at the moment is, and I don't know if anybody else has got it, is the fact that it doesn't handle the sensitivity label as well. So when we've got a sensitivity label on, let's say, a PowerPoint, it doesn't handle that. Or if it's no sensitivity label, it works. We've actually had a ticket open with Microsoft for a while now.
Well, Ionica, that rings a bell with me. Have a look in the admin center. You're right. So I'd have to maybe follow up you afterwards. That rings a bell that it's as part of the upgrades coming to the creating a video means it can handle that. That's definitely worth you checking the admin center, Ionica, because I'm sure that the latest updates to this functionality does say something about that. Forgive me, I can't remember the details, but it might be worth having a look.
Great, thanks.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I've done with it. So it was for some Microsoft 365 training, and it was a mix. The training was a mix of slides and demo. So rather than the person listening to or the audience listening to my voice all the time, I did the slides. So I went to create a video, pointed at a PowerPoint slide deck, and it looks at the content on the slide, and it looks at the notes. Okay, so based on that, it will talk about the topic, and then. So I had it, then you go in and you can see the transcript that it's saying, and you can go and tweak it and get it to run again. So you can fine tune what it says about each slide. So at the end of each section, and it said, we're now going to look at the demo, and that's when it handed over to me, and I recorded my demo, and I would say, we're now going to go back to the slides, and that's when the AI took over. There's all different voices, and I'm really impressed with how far it's come. Anyway. Definitely worth you checking out, folks, if you haven't tried it. And the PowerPoint to video is really nice. Let's look at this. So in August, Copilot chat users, so the free version of Copilot, they got access to Create, but it excluded video. But that is now being added for those users as well. That's due mid to late November, so that should be there anytime now for all of our colleagues if they're not using if they haven't got the full license. Okay, I really like the look of this, including Teams channels in your prompts. So I'm in Copilot. It might be that maybe I'm new to a project. I'm new to the XYZ project, and there's a channel with loads of talk and discussion, and we've been working there for a little while. So I can ask it about that one channel. So you can see here that actually it's not typed in there, but you can see here that I can start putting the details of the channel in. Now, this is a screenshot from Microsoft. I don't know whether this is a typo in their mock-up, or that's how they're going to abbreviate it. It's got to be a typo, right? But I think the ability to point it at channels, I think is going to be really useful, just being able to have that one topic and ground your entire prompt on that. And we should have that by early December. Okay, let's just see what else we got. So a couple of quick ones. AI and Microsoft Graph powered overview in Copilot search. So you might know that when you go to, I don't know, let's say you do a Google search and you do a search, it gives you like an overview at the top, and then it has all the search results underneath. And you can see here, that's what's coming to Copilot. So you can see here, actually, you know what, that's probably an example of a really poor prompt, and I know it is because I've actually confused it. Look at this, but you can see here it's given me an overview. If I continue reading, it gives me an overview of everything that's found. But if I prefer, I can just look at all the results underneath. I think that looks quite useful. Version history in Copilot pages. So it might be, I mentioned pages earlier. It might be that you've done a prompt and you've got results and you like what you found, and you can either create a page of that, or you can add it to an existing page. Maybe we add it to an existing page and actually we mess up our content on our page. Well, we're getting version history. So those of you who are used to using documents in SharePoint or OneDrive, you're used to version history, and that just makes that's just going to make our pages just a little bit more secure, and it means that we can restore them if we make a mistake. Now, this might be worth you revisiting with your colleagues. So the memory and personalization in Copilot chat is really useful. So I do things like I tell it to use UK British spellings. I tell it to use sentence case. I don't want it to use M dashes. I don't like it to use full stops at the end of bulleted lists. So you can give it all these instructions, and it will even remember when you say, I always want you to give me this type of answer. Okay, or this tone of voice. So this is what it looks like at the moment on the left hand side, and you can see it's going to change. That's what you see on the right hand side. A couple of the things that I say in Copilot memory are getting surfaced. So you can see them. Those little sliders are being brought to the top, so they're not quite so buried. And I think that that conversation history slider is new as well. I think that is worth you revisiting, and maybe you in one of your meetings. Why don't you get 5 minutes and just tell your colleagues all about that? Because lots of people still overlook that. Okay. Updated UI for Microsoft Copilot navigation pane in Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Outlook. So all the apps. I showed you that earlier. That's the main interface is changing, and changes are coming to everywhere else where it surfaces as well. So those of you who are new to the session, that icon there, the telescope, that just shows that this is from the 365 roadmap. Is a bit further out, and that those dates, the dates for those ones are not to be trusted. I'll most likely be talking about this in more detail next month. So Christine said Copilot does love M dashes, and actually at work, Christine, it's funny. We're having some conversation about telling it not to use M dashes to stop it from using them. And how do you describe it? Because it keeps doing it, and then you say to it, you look at my instructions, I ask you not to use M dashes, and it says, you're quite right, I'll take them out. So, and then also, but if you use the keyboard shortcut, put the M dash and then put it so it actually is in there at the full M dash, but then you put in brackets what it's called. But then you have to, but then it's, for me, it stopped using dashes altogether. So I had to say you use normal dashes where you normally would, but don't use the M dashes. But you're right, Christine, it does love M dashes. And Jenny, I might have to come back to you on that question just quickly. I'll give it some proper thought and come back if I can, Jenny. Or if anyone can help Jenny, look at the question in the chat, folks. If anyone can help Jenny with her question while I'm talking, that would be great. Okay. Ask Copilot about highlighted response content. That's not a great title, is it? But let me just explain. So Copilot has given you some answers. What you can do is that you can highlight a section of it, and then you can have a conversation just about that little bit. So maybe you've asked a question that's maybe a little bit general, or your prompt is a little bit open-ended, and it's come up with a few topics, and a bit that you do like, you can focus just on that, highlight it, and then that becomes the thing that you talk about. I think I'll be telling you about that next month, but that looks really, really useful. And Copilot Notebooks, that's almost where we started in the section, wasn't it? I really like Copilot Notebooks, this place where you can work and you can select the references that it's allowed to look at, and you can get a lot of stuff in your notebooks. But actually, you can have too much. So I think the idea of an overview page, so it just brings together everything you've got just on one overview page, which will be your new landing page. I think that looks great. So it says there June, November. I think I'll be telling you about that in more detail next month. Folks, I'm going to pause for breath. Anybody got any questions, comments, observations? Anyone love or hate anything I've covered there? Let me check in with somebody. Rebecca Green, you okay with that content? I shouldn't pick on people really. He's probably working late. Oh,
you always pick on me when I've got my push to talk headset and it have to unmute twice.
You have to press it
don't
twice.
Pretend not to hear me this time either.
So Rebecca, if you can hear us, I'm joking. Thank you, Rebecca, for popping off mute. Yeah, you're right. They're a pain, those headsets that you folk have, aren't they? Folks, any more before we have a quick look at the world's worst screenshot in my next slide? I agree, Jackie Hughes. I really like that highlighting a section in Copilot. I can't wait to tell you about that next month. That looks really, really useful. So here you go, folks. Here's the worst screenshot in the world. It makes my eyes go funny just looking at it. But I'm grateful that Microsoft shared these with us, so I can't complain. Okay. A new Edit in Outlook button is coming to M365 Copilot. So it appears when it detects that you're asking it to draft an email or working on an email, maybe it's just something explicit here, like can you draft an email for or based on or whatever it is that you want it to do. So it's going to give you this option here to edit in Outlook, and I apologize for how poor that is. Trust me, it says edit in Outlook. So it will open Outlook. It'll have a pre-populated draft email. It'll have the subject and all the details in the body as well. I think that looks really good. Due late October to late November. I did try before coming on here, even though I have early access. I don't have it yet, folks, but I think that looks really useful. And I think there seems to be a pattern. I think there's going to be more and more capability for in M365 Copilot. So you're talking to Copilot, and you'll be able to do stuff in there. Think about the survey agent as well. The fact that I can create forms inside Copilot and then go to the app. So I can start here. So this becomes my universal place to start stuff. And then when it realizes that I'm talking about Excel or I'm talking about Outlook or I want Microsoft Forms or whatever it is that I want, I curate it in here and then push it, and then I go to that app. I think we're going to see more of that. Okay. So, okay, 3 quick ones. I'm just going to say these all in one go, folks. These are from the 365 roadmap, really sketchy detail. Also, inboxes and calendars and delegation of those is not something that I'm very familiar with. Somehow, I've never had a lot to do with it, so I can't speak. I can't speak too much about it. But here's some things that are coming. So, if you're a delegate in someone else's mailbox and calendar, you've got meeting search, meeting triage, and scheduling via Copilot chat. I'm not super sure the details of how that's going to look, folks, but I just want to give you a heads up that Microsoft seems to be doing a lot of work on Copilot and delegate access. Okay, just a quick section now. You notice that there's no OneDrive this month. I've got a couple of things to tell you next month, but we have nothing this month. So, folks, before we go to SharePoint, anybody got any questions or comments about Outlook? Or anything you've seen that you think is really useful from the last month? And just for change, I'm not going to pick on Rebecca, and we're going to move along to a real big one in SharePoint. Okay, folks, so the SharePoint document library user experience is changing, and I would really like to know your thoughts in chat. about this, or you feel free to pop off mute if you think this is the best thing you've ever seen. Maybe you think it's really overdue, which I've heard some people say. Maybe you're horrified because all your training needs to change. But let's have a look at this. So simplified command bar, you can see that there's the command bar at the top. It really is simplified. Not entirely surprising. They're leading with AI actions if you have Copilot. Improved breadcrumb navigation. So this is apparently number 2 here. It's going to get easier to navigate around once you use that drop down. And more visible custom views, creating a view. I'm always showing people, whether it's in SharePoint or it's in Microsoft Lists, how to create views. People love them, but I wonder whether they're right to do this because maybe they are a little bit overlooked. What do we have? Some filter pills. So filters that work here are these document types. So it's going to make it a little bit easier for people to filter. And then there's a new options button. There must be loads of stuff hidden underneath this options button because I look at that and I'm a bit like, where's all my stuff? This looks more distinctive than maybe it would do normally because this is an interesting document library. And you can see that the person that's created it has made it very visual, haven't they? So we need to just focus on that area at the top rather than the colors in the main screen. But if you're looking at this, folks, if you're looking at this and it's going to cause you an issue or you want to read more, if you look at the title of this slide and maybe take a quick screenshot or make a note of it, SharePoint Document Library, User Experience Update. If you do a Google search or a Bing search on those terms, within the top 5, you'll see it's a really good blog. I think they use the term UX. A really good blog from Microsoft that breaks down every single one of these, and it goes into a lot of detail, folks. So all you need is those words at the top of the screen. Do a search on those, and you can read all about it. That's an interesting point. Delia's saying that the files tab in Teams changed to shared yesterday. Yeah, I talked about that forever ago, didn't I, Delia? I think that's all good, but it's a bit jarring actually. I think if that's happened for you folks, maybe bring it up at your next meeting, show people around. I think it's all good news, but it is a little bit jarring. Okay, so folks, anyone got anything to say about this? Is anyone a big fan of this? Because part of me thinks, with the exception of the views, part of me thinks that wasn't broken. Some people have said it's due. Anyone got any views on that? Do you really like it? Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to cause like a bit of an issue for users? Are they going to like? So I've got a nope, not really. I think you're saying you don't like it. Okay, right. Let's move along then. So I'm guessing no really strong feelings on that. Anyway, you got what you need to go and have a look. SharePoint introduces a new workflows experience. I think this is worth your colleagues knowing about as well. It's been delayed. I've talked about it before, but I'll mention it again just in case. So the workflows experience in Microsoft Teams, okay, that's getting revamped. The workflows in Teams. I'm starting there. I think as I build up, it'll make sense. The workflows in Microsoft Teams used to be called automations or Power Automate, and those little automations got rebranded workflows to make it a little bit more, just a bit friendlier for our colleagues to use. That experience is getting revamped, so it's even friendlier, and as you can see on the screen there, that's what it's going to look like. Now that is being brought into SharePoint. The automations button is going from SharePoint. It's going to get replaced with workflows. The other stuff that's in the automations button is going to get moved into the integrations button, and you're going to see this. So I think you might see a little bit of an increase in the flows that people are creating, and you might have a little bit of confusion with those two buttons going. I know I've talked about it before, but I just want to remind you that's been pushed back and should be here in early February. I'll be telling you more about this next month for optimizing version history for lists and libraries. June, November, I don't think it will come. I suspect I'll have more for you next month, but Microsoft are working hard to reduce the size of our version history, because they can go back. I think that is the default 500. And I don't know how high that goes, but it can be huge, can't it? So I'll be telling you more about that next month, but just in case it comes out between now and the next session, look out for that. And if anyone's still using 2013 workflows, they're being retired April next year. Upwards of, whoa, Gary's just put a number in there, 50,000. I didn't realize it could go that high, Gary. So you can see why there's a reason to, especially because I see more talk. Just I'm pointing at the desk behind me. It's got a client's computer on it. Just yesterday, they're talking about the digital footprint of what we do at work. So it's quite a big topic, isn't it? Okay, folks. Any thoughts on that SharePoint stuff? Let me check in with somebody. Gary Murphy, you got any thoughts on that SharePoint stuff? Anything catch your eye? Anything you like? Anything you don't like?
I definitely don't like the new view. It looks more like a SharePoint list. You're seeing less files in the less files listed on a screen at any one time. You're having to scroll down more. I think it just looks messy. Yeah. People just want, in here, people, by and large, people just want a file list.
Yeah.
With, but yeah, time will tell.
Be interesting, Gary, to see. So go ahead, mate.
I'm assuming all these columns are optional, or will they be, are they going to be deployed as a default? Will you be able to remove them, such as abstract and status and that, or is that?
So I'll tell you what I think. I think abstract, status, reading time category. I suspect that these are custom columns because the person that was doing this piece of work wanted it to look pretty, and it does look engaging, doesn't it? And I think they wanted the screenshot to look nice, and it to be interesting.
Yes.
But I tell you what, I'd be interested. I can't wait to be able to click on this button here, because there must be so much in there. Or the overflow menu here. These two must be properly stacked, because there seems to be, for me, there seems to be a lot missing on there.
Indeed.
Anyone else feel strongly about that before we move along? Okie dokie. Always welcome to speak, folks. If you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, I don't know, I want to come off mute," you're always welcome to. It doesn't, I recognise lots of the names on here, folks, and they're all nice folk. And we don't need to agree either. We can have different opinions about things. If you say something, no one's going to say that you're wrong. Maria.
I don't know if it's on point or not. My question is on the SharePoint, the AI actions. I've seen it. It doesn't give the option to do something. It only says create a bot, an agent, but it doesn't give you options with an agent you have created already. So I don't know if you have any input on that. I do not know.
So the agent you created already. So not in the document library, but I tell you what I do really like, the ability. If this was a normal SharePoint page, the ability to insert. There's an agent web part where you can have the agent, a button for the agent on the page itself, and when people click on it, let's say this was about HR information, you can have a web part that hooks up to your HR agent, and you click it on the page and it opens in the column on the right hand side, so they're right next to each other. I'm not sure that's quite what you're asking, Maria. If this is a normal SharePoint page, that's exactly what I'd be telling you to go and look at that, Maria, straight away, because that's a really nice feature. But actually pushing it into the AI agents, I can't really help you with that. But if anybody can, anyone can help Maria. It doesn't matter if it's on point or not, Maria. All questions are good. I say this to all of you. If you're thinking this might not be the right time, just ask anyway. Folks, any more? Can anyone help Maria on there? So Maria, go and have a look at that thing that I talked about. Go and have a look at the agent web part where you can have it on the page and it opens up in the column on the right hand side. See if that answers your question. But as for the AI agents, I haven't explored that very much yet. We'll all be exploring that in the new year, though.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Maria. Thanks for asking, Maria. All right, folks. Let's see what else we've got. Let's go and have a look at what's happening over in Teams, and there's a few bits over here. The Discover feed. Now, the Discover feed is an interesting one because some people really like it, and some people just go into settings and they turn it off. If you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you should pop into your Teams settings and turn it on. Now, instead of you trying to keep track of everything that's going on around you, then the Discover feed will try to help you based on your interactions, who you engage with, the channels that you engage with. It tries to learn what matters to you, and it will show you in your Discover feed. But if you do find something in your Discover feed, what do you then do with it? It's easy then to lose it. So I've got my Discover feed here. It's suggested this post, and I can click on the 3 little dots for it, and then I can follow thread. Okay, that option's there. And now you can see here that it will appear in next one along in my followed threads. So just a small change to the Discover feed where it's going to be a little bit more useful, where if it suggests something and you think, if it suggests that Maria looks at this conversation about AI actions, and Maria's like, yes, that's exactly what I want to look at, then they can follow, and they'll find it inside their followed threads in there. And it's easy to unfollow as well. Again, folks, that might be a good opportunity for you to revisit the Discover feed, just to reintroduce that to some of your colleagues and just talk about that new functionality as well. Image search is coming to Teams, chats, and channels. So it might be that that Jenny's looking for an image that shows a graph about the XYZ project, and they just can't find it. So they do a search, and now what it's going to do in your search bar at the top, it's going to look at the message content around images, the people involved, whether it's in a chat or a channel, and it's going to look at the location to try to help you find the image that matters to you. Then if you click on one, a light box like this will open, and you can click on the right or left arrows, and you can scroll through the images, and hopefully Jenny will find the one that matters to them. And you're also getting a new filter pill at the top. So maybe you just want to look, you don't want to see all the results, you just want to see results that relate to images. And you know what's interesting? I bet the next stage of this for Copilot users, I bet it will look at the content. It will do image to text, and I bet it will look at the content of those images and then help you find them based on the content. But we'll see. Right now it doesn't do that, but I think that's still quite a nice change. Anyway, when's that coming? We should have that by the early next month. Okay, I was talking earlier about digital footprint and the size, about the size of the storage that we take up. How about this option here? How about the ability to have audio-only recordings for your Teams meetings and calls? So if I was having a team meeting, let's say that myself, Veronica, Katerina, Jackie, and Julie were on a call together, we'd probably have our cameras off because it really helps with communication, doesn't it? But if we're maybe saving that because people in the rest of the team, or we might even share this even wider with our colleagues, it might be that our facial expressions, our surprise, our shock, maybe one of us has to check a phone, maybe one of our kids sends us a text message, we have to quickly check it. Now, in the context of a meeting, all that is fine. But when someone's watching it 3 months later, you might not necessarily want people to see your actions, your visual actions in a meeting. So how about this? The recording is audio only, so we can see each other during the meeting, but the thing that gets recorded is only the audio. So that's more accurate than a transcript, because you've got the actual audio. Folks, I really like the look at this. I think this is going to be super popular. Due early October to late November. Does anyone look at that and think that would be useful? Or is it, do you think that'll be a hit or miss? Just interested in the chat. You got a yes. Jackie's put your hand up. I think you got something to say, Jackie, or are you just saying?
I was going to say, yeah, it's going to be really good, especially for education when you're recording lessons and then we're having to go back in and edit out, because we want the students there to interact, but you don't necessarily want that showing on the video to share later. So it's brilliant for that. Course.
Yeah, you're right, Jackie. Right, and I think about my 13-year-old. My 13-year-old is a good kid, but she can be a bit pranky at school and a little bit light-hearted. And if she was in your class, Jackie, you'd probably want her facial expressions filtered out as well. Quite often when I don't have a meeting recording, if I'm going to use a meeting recording and share it as a training asset, I'll often go into Clipchamp, and what I'll often do for parts of the video is that I'll put a shape in Clipchamp. You can add a shape, I use the eyedropper to make it the same color as the background, so it's a solid color. And then I use the transparency slider, so it shows that there was something there, so it doesn't look like a big look really odd. And you can see there's something there, but you can't see the detail. So I'm forever going in, Jackie, to tweak those videos. I think this is going to be brilliant. Gary makes a good point. Do you know what? No, Gary. I think, Gary. So I don't know because I haven't got it yet. But Gary, I think it will. I think it's the. It's not that it's not show. It won't record the screen. It will record the screen. It's just the video feeds that it doesn't record, Gary. That's what I believe. Now, and if I'm wrong, we need to revisit this next month. But I think it'll be the screen, but not the video feed. It'll help keep camera. I think ideally as well. It'll help colleagues keep the cameras on, because let's say we're chatting now and we're talking about the weather earlier, and it's like we're having, or we're talking about something light-hearted as we're getting ready for the call, and we're being expressive with each other. And you can see I use my hands a lot, but out of context with people who don't know me, I don't necessarily want people reflecting on that who don't know me. They weren't in the meeting. They didn't have the vibe. So I think it's going to be super useful. Okay. So I don't think it will be. So my bet, if I had to bet, so I'm looking at talking to Jenny and Gary and everyone else. If I had to bet, it would do the screen recordings, but not the videos. Because think about it, you record a meeting. If you record a meeting, and you don't, I don't know. Here's what I think. I think it will record the screens, but it just won't record the video feeds. A bit like any of us now could turn off all the incoming video feeds. We can all hear each other, but we turn off the incoming video feeds. That is what I think it's going to do. But we'll see. Gary, we'll talk about this next month. Okay. I think this is worth sharing with our colleagues. If you haven't looked at the team settings area recently, go and have a look. It goes on and on, and some of the settings, you look at them and they don't all make sense, and there's just so much in there. If you're just a regular user and your job wasn't keeping up with this stuff, or you weren't really into Teams, it's just a tool you had to use, I can imagine finding stuff in the settings would be a challenge. But look at this new bit of functionality. So settings here, you've probably got this already. So you can search for any setting. Maybe someone has got an issue with their camera. Maybe somebody wants to flip their camera. So when they look at their own camera feed, the background's not the wrong way around. Maybe that's what they're looking for. So you can do a search for camera, for example, and then it will show you all of the places that's referred to, whether it's the name of the feature itself, the category, the description, the control title, the actual thing itself. So I think that's really useful. So I think that's another thing that's worth visiting. If you want to just give some hints and tips on Teams, there are so many good things in settings now that you can get people just to tweak and change. I don't know, little things like spatial awareness, so spatial audio for audio, and there's lots of little things that you can do in there. So definitely worth you visiting that with your colleagues, and you should have that by the end of the month. Okay, what have we got? So a light-hearted update. So it might be that you've got a light-hearted set of colleagues, and maybe they'd really like this. So I know you can do this using the Windows key and full stop to insert your emojis, but they're kind of making it more official now. So what we do, so just in case you missed it, inside your chats and your channels, you can create your own sections now, and you can move your chats and all your channels around inside there. One use for this is I started working with a new organization recently, and I didn't know who was who. So in my chats, I created a section called No Actions or Old Chats. I can't remember which one it was. It was even old chats or No Actions, because I didn't want to hide those chats, because I would have no hope of finding the chats again, because I didn't know what the people's names were, and I was meeting so many people and I was worried about forgetting them. So instead of hiding those chats, I moved them down to No Actions so I could refer to them really easily. Anyway, so we've created a new section. There's a new button. You see that little cat on the left-hand side, where you can now click on there, and then you can give your sections emojis. So functionally, it doesn't make any difference, but actually, if you're a visual person, it just makes it your work area a little bit nicer. Should be here by late November. I've already got that, and if you're a visual person, that's quite nice. Okay, so Veronica is on board with that. And don't forget, folks, for your channel names as well, you can always press the Windows key and full stop, and you'll get all your emojis up, and you can use those anywhere as well. Okay, I think I mentioned this earlier, didn't I? Teams is introducing a redesigned workflows experience. If you go and look at your workflows now, so in Teams, you might have to click on the three little dots to go and find it. You maybe pin your workflows, and you can just get it to do little small basic automations for you. It's getting redesigned, and it definitely does look a lot nicer. That's due late January to mid-February, and you might remember that coincides with this feature going into SharePoint as well. So I suspect, if I'm honest, that these teams do talk to each other, and that those changes that are coming to SharePoint, they're going to roll out first, and then this will come in. And I think maybe Teams is waiting for the SharePoint team to doing it at the same time. That network strength indicator I told you about, I've been talking about this forever, and it keeps getting pushed back. It's now pushed back to mid-January. So it might be that that you want to call like this, and maybe I'm getting a little bit glitchy, and you think, is it Mark's network? Is it my network? No one else has said anything, so maybe it's me. Well, actually, this is going to show you who's got the network problem. So looking forward to that, but not here until mid-January. Now, I think this is controversial, right? This one's been pushed back to any time now, although I've checked. I've got early access to a couple of tenants, and I still don't have it yet. I'd be interested if anyone does have it. So Teams group chats get a new Notes tab. So you might be familiar with this Notes tab or that type of thing from Channels, because that looks at the default OneNote, the notebook for the channel, doesn't it? Well, group chats are getting this as well, but this is going to look at Loop, right? And my problem with this is, well, I told a group of people about this recently. Half of them said, what was Loop? So instead of it using the technology that people are used to, it uses something different, even though it's called the same thing. So organizations can turn it off. I'm not a fan of this. The fact that half the people I talk to ask me what Loop is when I talk about it tells me that it's probably, I don't know whether it's worth the learning curve, but I don't know. It'd be interesting to chat, see whether you think that's a good thing or it should be turned off by your organization. Okay. Live meeting indicators for your channels. So we can have channel meetings, and you can just join now, but it's really subtle. The fact there's a meeting ongoing is really subtle. That's going to get bumped up. I'll maybe tell you about that next month. On hold, I can't believe they've stopped this. This is the new accent colors. So I choose an accent colors. The accent colors here say I'm in chat, so that's turned pink. That's clickable, so that turns pink. This is underlined. So these accent colors are useful. Now, what's interesting is when I was telling people about this, some people said that they don't need the full accessibility view that's available to you or accessibility software, but this extra contrast would really help them, and they really like it. They can choose their own colors. So some people are really looking forward to this, but they've put it on hold and they haven't given a new date for it, which I think is a real shame. Looking in the notes, Gary Murphy saying that Copilot says the audio only option for Teams will not. I'm still not having that, Gary, until I see that. We all know not to trust the AI, don't we? I'm not having that until I see it for myself, because that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. What sort of meeting is that if you're recording it? So we'll see, Gary. Me versus you and Copilot. Yeah, I agree with you, Delia. That's a real shame that one's gone, because I think that would have been really nice. Folks, any questions or comments or strong views about what we've seen in Teams? What did we have? It's a couple of just quite nice little ones, weren't there? Just looking at the chat, I agree with you. I think the thing that I take from that, Delia, is that it's a shame that that's not going ahead. Okay, we're getting close to wrapping up now. Just in case you missed it, these new icons came across Microsoft 365. We just missed this last month, so apologies for going back. In case you're wondering why they did it, here's why. They newly designed Microsoft 365 icons reflect their strategic shift in Microsoft 365, unified, intuitive, and designed for flow across every canvas. There you go. Now you know why. I think the thing this every time I look at this, the thing that jumps out at me, someone said, "Where's the pie chart gone from the PowerPoint?" I also think the Teams icon looks like a child's fairground ride. It looks like a little car with two kids in it and a T on the front. Anyway, let's move on from that. So that's going to go across everywhere you see the icons. That'll be coming out soon. They're fine. I just don't know what it brought. That's all. But anyway. Oh, Jenny, I think you win. Look at Jenny saying it's a toast rack. The I always think like a kid's ride, but I think Jenny, I think you win smile of the day. It looks like a toast rack. Okay, so a bit niche, but very serious. So you need to be aware of this. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this next slide, it doesn't apply to you. Okay, so it doesn't matter to you. If you look at this and you're like, I don't know what he's saying, you haven't done this. But in the past, rooting and jailbreaking your Android device or your Apple device was quite popular. Okay, it's much rarer now. But if you or any of your colleagues do have a jailbroken or rooted device and you use Authenticator for your work logins, you're going to start seeing this warning. And then that account is going to start getting blocked, and then it's just going to remove it automatically. So Microsoft do not want Authenticator being used to authenticate your accounts on a device that has been rooted or jailbroken. Now, if you're looking at that and you're like, I don't know if that applies to me, it doesn't apply to you. Okay, what else do we have? I can't wait for this. So I'm in PowerPoint and I've had a meeting. Let's say that we've had a meeting. Maybe we've had a meeting like this, but we didn't have any slides. We were just talking about some stuff. But actually, the meeting was very productive. It's very instructive, and actually, I want to create a session out of it. Well, you could create PowerPoint slides based on that meeting. I think that looks amazing. I know that PowerPoint slides using Copilot can be they're never great on the first go, are they? But it's always that gives you a really good first start, folks. Mid-January for that. PowerPoint for the web, that editor pane down the side. I know it's not that widely used now, but that's been retired. If you do use a web editor pane, I'd be interesting actually if anyone does use it. I'd be interested to know in the chat if that's going to be a loss for you. The reuse slides feature is being retired. So that goes in this somewhere between December and January. Does anyone use either of those? Monica, your face says it all there. Your emojis. Yes, gutted. Yeah. So again, do you know what? There's a real thing. Is I'm going to try not to sound like I'm beating up on Microsoft, but I've seen this kind of no entry sign. I'm not sure why I started using a no entry sign for things we're losing or things that are stopping, but that's the sign that I use for it. I have seen more of those in the last 9 months than I have in the last 3 years. And it seems to be that all the stuff that's not widely used or stuff that any features that can be done by Copilot, they seem to be slowly taking those away. They just seem to want to support fewer and fewer things, despite the fact that they make $30 billion in profit every 12 weeks. They seem to be taking more and more stuff away. And on a couple of the updates, they said that they don't want to, they don't have to, the maintenance of looking after them. So yeah, so I think you're going to see more of that, if I'm honest. I think you're going to see them taking away more and more features that aren't used by many people. So if it's going for you folks, especially the reuse slides, what can you do? Okay, let's see what you think. You're going to see this pop up on your screen now. I'd be really interested to learn what you think the best update is of the month. Someone give me a thumbs up. Just confirm that that's appeared on your screen. Anyone got a thumbs up for me? Can you see that? Oh, thank you, folks. Okay, so I've submitted my vote. Let's see what you guys think. So at the moment, the Copilot users getting access. You can vote for more than one, by the way. So audio only recordings, that's looking popular. It's coming in really slowly, actually. The image search, that's got 40%. Okay, we'll come back to that in a second, folks. Just while you're doing that, remember you can vote for more than one. Okay, let me just tell you about this. We don't, we don't do a lot of kind of like promoting ourselves on these sessions, but I think you actually quite like this one. So, so we're a Microsoft Copilot Jumpstart Ready tier partner, which means that we can talk to you and we can get Microsoft to pay for your Copilot for your Copilot training and your adoption or the work around it. There's no hidden catches here. It is as good as it looks. Because of our position with Microsoft, we can, depending on what you want to achieve and what is reasonable and is genuinely achievable, we can unlock different tiers of funding. So if that's of interest to you folks, maybe get in touch with us, because this is lots of our clients use this now because Microsoft are pushing Copilot real hard, and they'll pay for it, and just everybody wins. What have we got there? So Delia's done a really good share. On the Book of News, Delia, I don't want to put you on the spot. You don't have to pop off mute, but did you want to say anything about that share, what it is and what you shared? If you don't want to, that's fine. I'll do it.
No, I can do. So Microsoft started Ignite yesterday. So there was a keynote speech at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So if you search, you'll be able to watch that back. It was quite amazing, actually. They was like showing how you can use Copilot in 6 minutes to do an order for t-shirts. So I really recommend that you pop in and have a little look, because it really sort of like looked at passing stuff to through to different teams, like finance teams with spreadsheets and populating all your spreadsheets, and it really just brought Copilot to life. So yeah, I would really recommend that you use it. And the Book of News come out last night. Normally you get snippets in there from like for Teams and OneDrive and all that kind of stuff, but on quick look it's just mainly like Copilot and AI stuff this time. So obviously that's the direction of travel, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like there's going to be less happening in the other apps, and everything's going to be going down that Copilot route, isn't it? Kind of thing. So definitely watch this space.
Delia, and even is a Teams announcement or SharePoint announcement, it's going to be AI in Teams, isn't it? That's going to be more and more of that. I think I think that's a good shout, Delia. I didn't get to watch last night, so I had to go to my daughter's school for something, so I missed. We were going to have a watch. We had a watch party to watch that, or watch it together, but I had to go to school for a meeting, so I'll definitely watch that back. And I think it's worth us looking at stuff like that, just so we know where it's going, because I think organizations, whether you're Jackie in education, or Rebecca Green in government, I think it's changing so fast, but there's so many things there for us to be aware of. Definitely worth a look. And that Book of News, I've seen that shared a couple of places, Delia, and I think that's a great share. If you want an idea about the direction of travel, definitely worth you having a look. So why don't we go back and see what most popular changes are? The image search coming to Teams, 21%, and the audio only recordings also has 21%. So you have spoken, folks. Next steps. Let us know what you think of the session. You want to give us any feedback? I know they're a little bit quick. It's either I have that real trade-off, folks. I either talk quite quickly, or I tell you less. I've opted for speaking fairly quickly. I'll show you the headlines, and then you can decide what you want to go and research yourself. I either talk if I talk slower, I have to say less to you. But we've chosen this slightly quicker route. If we can help you with anything, especially if you just want your training funded and your adoption funded, let us know. Next month is a little bit earlier in the month. And we're just about to do all the dates for the next 6 months. And remember, you have to sign up individually for each one. And we've also got a series of Copilot webinars. Keep in touch, folks. If you follow me on social media, if you follow me personally, you'll see those sort of updates anyway. But you know what? This brings us to the end of our time together. Folks, anyone have any questions or comments before we close off?